Okay, so I think we're ready, right, Brian?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're getting started, and today's topic is extraordinarily important, and we're talking about SEO, which is search engine optimization, if I'm understanding the acronym correctly. I mean, I'm in DC, so everything is acronyms here. Um, and we have a wonderful guest, Vishay Singh, who's with us today, who owns his own SEO company and who's going to talk to us all about driving traffic to our law firm's websites. I know that I've been fiddling with my law firm's website for the past several months. I probably totally royally screwed it up and probably did everything opposite of what we're going to be told today. But you know, I'm happy to be the guinea pig if anyone wants to critique my website on the call. We'll see how far we get in that regard. But you know, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get started. So tell us a bit about your business and what you do.
Thanks, Melissa, and thank you for having me on board. So I have, I'm an entrepreneur. We have a small group of companies predominantly involved in the digital space and then in property. So the digital space, we are in e-commerce and in search engine optimization. And prior to this, I was in, various, I had a different digital agency that I built up for about 5 years, and then I sold it. It was a 360 agency where we did everything. But eventually I realized that my passion was to work with small, medium businesses, and I wanted to work in an area that's foundational. And just like building a home, you want the foundation right for your home. And the building contractor would want to get that right. So I decided to focus on search engine optimization because it is, in my opinion, a very important aspect after, like you were saying, after you build your website and you build some of your local search engine presence. So now we have a niche, which is in Google My Business and local search, but we still do expanded search engine work because some clients need that because of the nature of the website and where they're at. So the company that I launched, which is now 4 years old, is MapMe Local after selling the first agency. And now we just focused on SEO and everything else. We help clients through referrals, but we just play in that space and try and do it right. And then we also practice what we preach because our digital businesses are same-day printing. So we are the e-commerce of printing. We don't own any printing outlets. You just come onto our website and we give you a white glove service, get that printed for you and delivered either through Uber or some delivery mechanism to your doorstep. And the idea was there is taking advantage of search engines and taking advantage of the fact that most people are now looking for that services turnkey online. So we play in that space. And then we have a couple other websites, our own personal brands and stuff like that, that we optimize for, including our property business, one of which is a co-working space. So we do a lot of our own in-house, and then we service clients like yourself.
Okay, so let's start with search engine optimization. Clearly that is centered around a website. So law firms nowadays have some type of website. You can, I don't know, pay for a website to be made through Martindale Hubbell or all of those online lawyer type resources. I hired someone from Fiverr and had them design something on WordPress that I've now been tinkering with and probably messing up royally. And other law firms hire some really high priced places to build out their law firm's website. I mean, talk to us a bit about what kind of website should we be looking at and what type of content should we be putting on it?
Absolutely. I kind of, with professional practices, it's for me, it's more like find whatever we find, like whatever we land up with in terms of the law firm or the professional practice, whatever that website is, we generally do an analysis. I mean, there's different websites, like you're saying, there's WordPress, there's Wix, there is Joomla, there's also my favorite, which is Drupal. which is not really not very, very popular because it's difficult to build on, but it's probably the most safest open source and most secure open source platform that you could build a website on. Some of your larger corporate Fortune 100s build their websites and their web presence and their web portals using Drupal. But I have law firms that have WordPress. I have law firms that have Wix. My general approach is depending on the law firm. If it's a law firm, you're starting off practice, you need a website. It's always test tiny and then scale. So, and bring, keep your marketing budget and try and spend as little as possible to get started, because everything for a lawyer or any professional practice, every penny counts when you're getting started. You don't want to go, get too much into debt with getting your marketing right. And I always recommend to them, go on Wix. For example, Wix has an AI tool. You type in lawyer, you press a button, and you'll get a website. And then you can start messing around with that. And messing around means pretty, it's pretty dummified. It's pretty don't make me think. You can place some good pictures. And as long as you place some really nice content, and then you follow the basic steps for the on-page SEO, you would have a pretty decent site, which you could potentially do yourself. But then, for a medium-sized firm, 5 partners plus, or one that's growing, they do want to pay attention to, certain detail. And that detail could be user experience. It could be a particular area of service. So it all depends on the client. It all depends on the client's brand, and it all depends on where they're at. And based on that understanding, we make a recommendation. A lot of our websites that we come across is built on WordPress. WordPress, in my opinion, is high maintenance, in that you got to consistently watch the plugins, and you got to make sure those plugins are secured and they don't expire. And you got to make sure that you test your site every quarterly for load test and anything that might be interfering with it at a code level or at a CSS level. CSS is the cascading styling sheets, the pretty sheets that you see. That's the design layer. So you got to run tests on that just to make sure that the website's behaving correctly online, so that you get a good user and customer experience. So there's no right or wrong. Take your victim as you find it and fix it up.
Okay.
So you said, you mentioned on-site SEO. So why don't you tell everybody, because that means there's on-site, then there's off-site. What is on-site SEO? So
on-site SEO is pretty much like if you visualize your website as pages, literally if you take lawyers use a yellow pad, but if you take a white page, A4, A5 in size, and you look at that page and you've written content on it, what the internet allows you to do is behind that page, the internet allows you to set up that page. So a content management solution like Wix or WordPress, however, you would have to put an all-in-one SEO plugin, for example. And once you got the plugin, it'll enable the website for you to go on the back end and basically put titles to each page, basically configure your URL, which is, like the URL ybkglaw.com. And then if you click practices, you'll be able to configure to say /practices or /attorneys, /news and resources. So that's called your title tags. Your H1 tags will be on the back, just at the header level, to be able to give a good description of the content of each page. Now we can take a little bit of a deep dive on how to do that. Generally, it starts with knowing your areas of services, your areas of practice, and understanding what you think your customers will be searching for you for that page, is what I call the niche keywords. That you as a expert in your industry, you think or know best what your clients might be searching for. Then you take those keywords, you research it on a Google keyword tool, and you see if those keywords have a good value. Another way of doing it is take those keywords, stick it into Google, and see if it automatically comes up. And if you click the keyword, look who comes up and are they coming up for that keyword. That's just a basic way of doing it if you're not using an SEO practitioner. But of course, an SEO practitioner will go do some research, come back with volumes, come back with numbers from Google search, Google's keyword tool. SEMrush has a tool. There's a lot of types of tools, but Google has a keyword tool that you can use to determine the value of a keyword. So if you understand that keyword that you have, for example, maybe divorce lawyers or divorce lawyers Miami, you could use those keywords then to perfectly describe that page on the on-page side of your website, in the back end of your website, describing each page correctly. And then again, in terms of how many characters that should be, etc. Those days we had to count it and we had to worry about whether it's 64 characters or not passing 108, etc. But now, WordPress, Drupal, and most of Wix as well. I'm a big fan of Wix because I think it's good for startup law firms. It's like, you could just put it in and it'll guide you. It'll tell you you're going over, shorten it, make it more descriptive. It can also give you, it'll help you through the process. So once you get that right on the back end of your website, all that is doing is basically helping the crawl, the Google crawl. So we're talking about Google because Google is your largest search engine. More than 70% of searches happen on Google for services. So on Google sends out its crawler to crawl a website or go read a website, and if that is correctly described, it'll crawl that correctly and be able to index you in a search result. So that way, if somebody's looking for best divorce lawyer Atlanta or best divorce lawyer Miami, or how do I tell my children about divorce, just looking at what's on the screen, that your page will then stand a very, very good chance of being indexed by Google and then being found on Google's top 10 results. And the last piece to that would be make sure what you write in that page is absolutely relevant and is absolutely good quality. And of course, you would include some keywords in there as well to help the Google crawl to find the page from its title on the back end, and then to find it by its content as well. That way, you get a good weighted score, and you'll get found on the top 10 of the top results of Google, the first page of Google. That's where you want to be, and that's how you're going to start getting traffic, right? And that's how you're going to get people that are looking for you, finding your page. And if the page is relevant, you're going to engage your client or your potential client, the searcher. You're going to engage them, and they're going to want to do something. So that's why on every page, like you see, there's a read more on this page, for example, that's a call to action. So am I interested? Because the first snippet, this top piece, that's a snippet there. That snippet is what will, can get indexed by Google. And then and then the behavior of a person that's searching on the web is generally that 6-second approach that, hey, I've got 6 seconds. I'm looking for this. Yep, I found it. Let me read more. Now you capture them. And that's why in your analytics, or if you look at analytics, you will see that if somebody's spending more than a minute and a half on that page, you totally got them engaged. You totally got them to relevant content. And that's either informational or that's either driven by a call to action that, hey, Young Berman, is the right firm for me to contact more about this topic.
And so, I know what's the saying, content is king, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the tricks for content? I mean, when I write articles, I try to do a minimum of 300, but I think 500 words is like a magic number, right? And then you can go higher. And some articles I'll put out, I'll do 1,000 or 1,500. I'll still only use 3 to 4 keywords here and there. And then I link it to other pages in my site, and then I link it out, sometimes external links. Talk about use the word quality. Let's talk about that for quality content.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about. In the good old days, we used to do things called article spinning, and we had lots of different tools. In fact, there are still tools like that, but when it comes to content, Google, quickly learned that it wants to be an encyclopedia. It wants to be a relevant source of good to great information. And that's why content is so important, because 15 years ago when we practiced search engine, 15 years ago, time has passed. When we practiced SEO then, we could get onto top page of Google, first position with any content on a page. But Google over time, started putting different algorithms. One of them is called Penguin, and they've got a couple of these that they use every single year to run a methodology to figure out that they are giving the best quality to the reader, because the reader is very important, and that's also very important to you. So yes, whenever you write content, my suggestion is write it with a lot of thought. Give up some time for it in as much as you can, or find a really good content writer that knows your industry and let them write great content for you. And yes, 500 words, I'm always used to using 750. That has always been the magic number that worked for me, especially with blogs and content on websites. I always recommend 750 words. But if an article gets too long, you can break it up into 2 parts. If it gets even longer, break it up into 3 parts. That's why, blogs were born, and etc. But really good quality content focused on educating your audience, informing them, telling them, speaking from the heart, speaking with some emotion in that content, that's relevant to them, because, depending on your practice, depending on what area, most of my lawyer clients are divorce clients, my mediator clients are divorce mediators, and that's a very emotional situation. That's a scenario where it's disaster, it's catastrophe, people are in panic. You don't want to use that panic and convert them into a customer without providing them comfort. And that comfort comes from giving them really, really good content for them to chew on, understand what you're about, for them to get to know you through your content, through your website. And then when they meet you, it matches up in terms of their expectation.
So I see that Brian's firm has good resources and content in the form of a blog somewhat right on their page. I know my firm, I have a slightly different blog. I do an actual legal blog where I summarize court cases, but I use a completely different blog format where it's an external website. It's not built into my law firm's website, although it's linked. They're linked between each other. Is there a drawback or a positive to having multiple sites like that?
In the good old days, blogs started off with being a blog on your website, but what you said, Melissa, was an important statement, was that you are able to link back. Okay, so the fact that you're able to link back, so if you published your articles on medium.com and you're allowed to then put in your URL to click back to your website, that's how you get those backlinks coming back to your website, and that's tracked through Google, and it creates a link from an outside website to your website, which is really very good, because that's how you're getting the Google juice, and that's how you're getting more external customers coming through to you, and you're spreading your reach by being found on other platforms. Now, guest blogging, for example, is always it's been a gray area, but there's some top leaders in the industry that says guest blogging is okay. If you have guest bloggers, that's fantastic. If they blog for you and they put it on their site and you get those link backs, you won't be in trouble. Again, I feel that if we just stick to quality content, if you publish it in your website, great. If you get some of that published externally and it's coming back to your website, that'll work too. A lot of people use a microsite approach sometimes, where they have in different industries. One of my clients is they're the largest truck parking in the whole of the US, and we've got thousands of landing pages, microsites for them with different content on it. and we got them all connected somehow to the main website, and that strategy has worked, and we've never been punished by Google. The algorithm changes that happen, whether it's Panda, Penguin, and whatever happens in the month, the team picks it up. We make sure we check it. We make sure we're not offline. We're not out of the parameters of what Google wants, and we just do the adjustments. So for me, my thing is neither right nor wrong. If you have quality content in your website, on web pages, you have a blog on your website, that's good. If you have a blog on medium.com, on a different platform, if it links back, you'll be able to see through the analytics, your Google Analytics, what traffic that's bringing in and what's that behavior of the traffic if you plug your analytics correctly on all your pages. And you track that.
So let's talk a little bit about offsite SEO now. So you're doing all your content, you get the page set up, you got your metadata filled in. Can you stop there, or are there other ways to help?
So offsite SEO is interesting. We still follow a traditional practice, by doing your on pages and doing all that correctly, and having valid content, refreshing content, that's all good. Secondary level to your website is also making sure that your local search is taken care of. So make sure that your Google My Business is set up, right? So your GMB, because you're a law firm, you are practicing from certain locations. So set up your GMB correctly. Have fresh posts on your GMB weekly, if you can, daily. Have a good setup. Some law firms set up on Yelp. I know lots of restaurants set on Yelp, but some law firms set up on Yelp too, because you can be found by those directories. And then with Google My Business, beyond Google My Business, there's a whole lot of directories, and there's software tools like Bright Local. If you take a Bright Local tool, you stick your details in there, it'll tell you where you might have duplicates of your name, address, and phone number. You get an SEO team to fix that up for you, clean that out for you, get your directory sorted. That's a very, very good way of getting found locally. And that's a SEO exercise in itself. And that's directory submissions and directory fixing in itself that will bring a lot of traffic to your website, because, with Google, you will be allowed to publish your website. I know they offer your website within Google, but that doesn't really connect to your domain. So don't use that feature. When you've got a decent website like you have, Brian, then you just put your URL in there and you set up your locations where you're serving. If you have offices in certain locations, you can add that too. But if you're just serving areas, like you're serving, a 30-mile radius, Google My Business allows you to set up where you're serving, what areas you're serving. And that'll bring a ton of traffic to you, and that'll get you found on local search, because a lot of people are like, the best injury lawyer near me, or, best divorce lawyer near me, or, I need a child support lawyer, probate attorney near me. And they're searching using Siri, or they're searching using their, Android device, using voice search. And that's where, you master your own territory, your own backyard first, before you start expanding out to traffic to your website, SEO to your website. Now, SEO to your website, off-page SEO, we call it, is basically for us is an exercise in a couple of categories. One is always checking the website out, running software tools that we even use, W3C, for example, which is a worldwide standard tool that you can put your domain in, check what's going on your website, because the web world is dynamic. Once your website's fixed and running, it doesn't mean it's always going to be fine. There'll always be some error. There's always some coding error, some CSS error, something that will happen dynamically through the server or to the World Wide Web that needs repairing. So that's another exercise in SEO we do monthly for a lot of clients. If your website is error-free and code error-free and doesn't have any issues to load, 90% of your battle is won with that. Then the second piece we go ahead and do is we generally turn out some SEO articles, some good quality articles, maybe 1 or 2 a month, and we do directory submissions and social bookmarkings and classified submissions. So there is a way again, using SEO software tools like SEMrush. SEMrush is our favorite tool. We use it across. We use that tool to see where the opportunities are, what's the low-hanging fruits for your website, and where can we make submissions for you to go build some backlinks and bring that traffic to your website and bring unique traffic to your website. And that exercise does help, because when we look at analytics and we do it monthly, we do see a month-on-month increase at least by 10% each month, because again, the dynamic nature of SEO and the fact that you're not the only website out there. There's other SEO practitioners targeting and going for keywords and trying to push you out of ranking. Then you need, a good team doing that for you to also push for other keywords for you to rank. So what happens is, we always notice sometimes in a month we lose 10 keywords, but we gain 20. And then that's how we keep our clients' volume of traffic, unique traffic to the website, and the conversions consistent, is because we are consistently working that through off-page directory, social bookmarking, and classified submissions with quality SEO articles. And those SEO articles generally come out of a blog that you've maybe written, or something that you wrote on a page that we get it written from a different angle. And it doesn't have to be high quality, but good quality, that we're able to post that so that we can get people to click on that to bring that traffic back into your website.
So for Google Maps, because I feel like that's one of the sites that's becoming more and more popular in terms of SEO. What is it that drives your ranking on Google Maps? Is it reviews? Is it content? How do you boost it?
So just looking at it plainly, if you follow the entire setup step by step with Google, and you go through each and every of the categories on the left, from posts to info to insights to reviews, all of those categories are important. Of course, I mean, you don't necessarily have products that you're selling. If you look at the products page, you can be creative about it if you want to put something in there. But the services tab is very important, where you can lay out your services correctly. So with GMB, you have to set it up 100%, and you have to put good, fresh content in there. We put as much as once a week, twice a week, if we can manage more than that, because it's just good content that GMB likes, that fresh content. It allows you to put some tags on it and stuff like that you push out, and that's in the post section. That helps a lot. Google has its own algorithm to this, and it's definitely not the easiest, because it started a long time ago. It was top 10. Then they created a Google 7-pack. Now it's a 3-pack where they only show you top 3 results. But a lot of people do click beyond the 3 results. And here's what's the game changer to that, which you hit on, Brian, is to make sure that your customers are putting reviews in there, and to build out your reviews substantially, so you get 5-star reviews, 4-star reviews. Heck, sometimes if you get a 1-star review, don't panic about it. A lot of clients panic about it and say, need that deleted. Unfortunately, you can't delete it. It's a customer relationship thing. It just means that you have to go get better reviews from customers, and outperform the bad reviews if there's any. Is our advice to client, and not to do anything silly, but trying to delete it, or reaching out to the customer so you can resolve that problem, and then mutually agreeing to remove the review because you'll talked and resolved the issue if there was one. So reviews are very, very important, because reviews, like hotels, just normal logical human behavior. You want to get out to an Airbnb, or you want to get out to a hotel, the first thing you're looking at on the hotel is the reviews, the review tab, to see how many people really like the hotel. You're looking for confirmation or affirmation that this is a good place to go to. So reviews are highly important on GMB, and that's pretty much about it. I mean, we then do local search results. So local search results is, again, for local search, it's the same as broad search, is when you go on Google, they'll first throw you the maps Then below the maps and above the maps, they throw you all the adverts, so the advertising section. And then below the maps, they throw you this organic area that you can also rank for. So it's outside of the maps. So that area is where, again, SEO practitioners will come in and help you get found there for local search terms like, divorce lawyer near me, injury lawyer near me, probate lawyer near me, the near me phrases again, and anything else that Google may say is a good quality keyword with high propensity of volume coming to your website, that we want to be in that organic find, because there is a lot of stats out there. If you Google these stats, it's proven that in the organic results, more people click through, more unique traffic comes through, more better conversion comes through versus advertising. But, through advertising, you do get lucky. Those that click through and really want your service from advertising, they will call you or reach out to you. But on the organic side, you actually get a higher volume of find. So those are the two things to Google My Business, Google Maps, making sure your PIN is right when you're setting up Google My Business, getting all those things right. We do tend to do some adverts from GMB, but we have found that doing just normal pay-per-click adverts using the normal pay-per-click tool, I guess again it's SEO practitioners, the pay-per-click team is well driven and used to using the traditional tools of Google. They feel that they get a better result, and besides feeling, they do show me that they get a better result than just running ads on Google. So you can do either, just to have a presence above in the ad section. And Google just launched a new service. I need to double check what it's called. We actually applied for it for one of our clients, where they would allow you. It's just a more advanced technique for you to advertise your services and yourself through the GMB platform, and it'll give you a better unique profiling as a professional found for your service in your area. So we're still waiting for that to be approved and for those adverts to get approved, and then we will test that out as well.
All right, I have a couple questions. So on GMB, and this may be a different topic, which is going to be reputation management, but let's, for instance, I love getting good reviews for, my office. Last month, one of my partners got a negative review. She wasn't even an attorney in the case. She was a guardian ad litem. And one of the parents who was crazy and basically had to lose time with her child because she had issues going on, was not happy with what my partner's the guardian ad litem for a child said, and was able to go on and leave a negative review, which is tied to the firm now. I know Google has certain tools to flag. It's hard to do it. Do you have any recommendations on what to do in that situation?
Yeah, I've often come across that. I mean, we're definitely not reputation management experts. The strategy that I followed, particularly in the industry of restaurants, at one stage we were having a lot of restaurant clients, a lot of franchise groups, popular franchises. Your most favorite franchise in the chicken industry was a client of ours. And the chain stores, they generally tend to get a lot of negative reviews. In that situation, our strategy was do our best to solicit as much positive reviews as we can and inform the team and the organization, train and retrain through the management for better service, better results. We would have QR codes, we'd have posters all over the setup of the business, enticing the customers to remember that if they had a good service to give a good review. In the professional industry, it's difficult because you're doing a few clients at a time, and you get a situation like yours. You could take it up with Google and have it reviewed at Google. You may have to take it up directly with the client. You could take it legal with the client if you wanted to, if it was absolutely wrong. I've seen situations where court orders have been obtained and then sent through to Google, but Google's such a large organization, to get it to the right desk, get it to the right person, and then get that done is quite an exercise. It's lengthy. So different things, different people follow different strategies in terms of that. Our strategy is if we packed up with one negative review, let's try and pack it away with 50 positive reviews and push it as fast as we can to the bottom. But there are platforms, and I don't think GMB does this, but there's other platforms, I won't mention names, that actually leaves a negative review right on top. And you can beg them and scream and shout at them, and they don't change it. And that's really nasty. I've had clients that have had that experience. I don't know why they wouldn't remove it. But generally with GMB and reviews on Google My Business, I would suggest pump it up with better positive results and try and get the negative one pushed down.
Got it. Okay, now also for offsite, it used to be a big thing, which was backlinking and having people post links, on other sites. Is that still a good offsite feature?
It's still something that we are doing. We call it directory submission, social bookmarking, classified submissions. And what that means is finding platforms like Reddit, StumbleUpon, and there's a ton of them out there that we don't really understand that they are big. They're as big as, or maybe even bigger than, the popular social platforms, kind of like Twitter and Instagram. Reddit is a big one. StumbleUpon is also a big one. And there's many other directories that our SEO specialists know and understand. And then, like, again, to tools, SEO tools like BrightLocal, SEO tools like SEMrush. SpyFu is useful, but SEMrush is more practical to help you go enhance your off-page SEO. It guides you through where to go and publish. And wherever you publish on the correct directories, if you publish in StumbleUpon, so you posted a blog today, generally, the simple practice of that, simple understanding of that, and practically explaining it, is if you published a blog today and you took that link and you put a snippet on Facebook about that link, and you published that link there, you then went on to Instagram, you made a nice picture using Canva about what you're saying about this blog, and you published that on Instagram. Then you went to Twitter and you wrote a nice hashtag and you wrote something nice about the blog that you wrote, and you published it there. If you use those three platforms as a perfect example, a perfect storm, not knowing anything about SEO, that alone will give you SEO juice, because once it's published, people are going to click that, and that's how you get the backlink, right? That's coming back to you to where your blog is, which is coming back to your website. And you can track that through your analytics, because if you have your analytics on that page, analytics will show you that clicks came through from social media. And this is how many people came through from social media, and you can track it as far as even if you put a unique URL on your social media, you can go that deep and track how many visitors came in to that blog from your LinkedIn post, your Twitter post, your Instagram post, and your Facebook posts. Those are the top 4. If you made a little video about it, then the video will also get you links back to your website. So there's a very practical, very simple thing that all lawyers can do today without an SEO practitioner, right? You do those things, you start building audience on those social platforms, you'll get the juice. And if you go to StumbleUpon, you go to Reddit, and you do the same thing there, you'll get more of an audience that'll come to you. And then there's all these other directories which are unique to the SEO practitioners. They will go figure out the weight of that directory, the quality of that directory, is it relevant? And they'll go do the same thing in those directories and bookmarking sites so that they can bring that backlinks back to your website. And that's where that monthly exercise comes in from SEO experts or SEO practitioners.
Okay, and I know we're getting short on time, but now if somebody wants to go ahead and proceed with an SEO professional such as yourself, what kind of budget should they be looking at to at least get started?
Yeah, so I weight it and I measure it by, on the website we have some basic packages. We got simple packages. So I usually, or my team will usually weight it by interview the client, understand the client, understand what the needs are, go back to the drawing board and go run the software tools, test everything that the client has, understand the positioning, and then provide a package. And generally, generally we ask the client, where's your budget and where do you want to be and what do you want to achieve? So you can go from basics, a simple startup where your budget could be, $300-400 a month. Your budget could even be as little as $97 a month. Still, something can be done. So it depends. If you're a startup lawyer, not too much money, want to get started, want to get going, we help that person to build that basic building blocks to get a web presence and to get something right on the internet, so they can start getting brand awareness. They can start getting a presence and hopefully a little bit of conversion. But then there's clients that say to us, you know what, we want you to do a strategy. We have an old domain, we have an old website. Our website has a ton of traffic. And then the strategy would be goes research on Ahrefs, for example, another software. Where are we ranking on page 2, page 3, page 10, or page 50 for really good quality keywords that we could actually bring into page 1 of Google? And that's a great strategy, because now you have all the websites, you've got all these keywords that you don't know that you're ranking about, and we can go find them and bring them into page 1 of Google. So it's already ranking, so it kind of is like a bit easier for us to drive that in. And then you have the startup who's no way and just wants to get started. So your budget can be anywhere from, as little as $97 a month, going all the way up to $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Some firms spend up to $10,000 a month because they're doing turnkey, right? They want proper analytics. They want deep level analytics. They want analytic filters. They want social media. They want social posting. They want their content written. So again, take your victim as you find it. Depending on the client, honest conversation, transparent discussion on what you want, what you need, and then delivering that. What we do as an SEO firm, to be transparent with our client on what we're working on, we give them full access to the SEMrush platform, and it's for us, it serves as an audit tool, and besides keeping us on track, for the client, it's almost like a check guarantee that when they go in there, they can see how there's so many nice triggers, indicators that the software provides to see exactly how you're moving on keywords, how you're ranking, where you're gaining, where you're losing. Are you gaining more on keywords that are relevant? Is your traffic going up? Is your traffic, getting to a point where you're getting more unique visitors? So we give them access to these tools, and of course we provide them a snapshot of the analytics from Google as well. Google's got a new tool as well that allows us to recreate the analytics more into a reporting platform, more into a graphical platform. Google Studio is a software, so we use that as well to try and present a better way, a more understandable way of seeing where your results are. So that's a way to understand dollar for dollar, are you getting value for what you're spending? The other big thing is, most clients with search engine and paid search, the other exercise they want to do or be able to do after 12 months or a year into it, or even 3 months for that matter, is to try and figure out the type of clients they're getting, and is that client value that you're getting good enough to support the money that you're spending on all the marketing exercises. So again, it's not written in stone. We work with our clients to tweak that. So sometimes we find that we might be overspending on marketing. We are getting great quality clients, but it's not necessarily covering, it doesn't justify the ROI, the return on investment. So then we start the process of elimination. I call it bullseye marketing, where we start eliminating things or just downsizing activities that are not necessarily bringing huge value to the client. And there may be just maybe 2 activities that might bring huge value, and that could be search engine and paid advertising. We just focus on that. And then the social presence, we just downsize it to a point where they have enough social to keep it rolling. But we figure out the bullseye marketing process of elimination. which is the activities. And in our mind, in our practice, it's been more the SEO, the paid search, and then doing the rest of the stuff like social media, etc. So we're able to adjust the budget accordingly for the client.
So here's the chicken and the egg question that someone posted. If they want a new website and they want to invest in SEO, which comes first?
I repeat that, if they...
Should you revamp your website first, or should you hire an SEO professional first before revamping it if you want to do both?
Well, like we were discussing earlier, if you have, so generally we work in sync with somebody who's developing a website. So if the law firm is just developing a website, basic website on Wix, we will work with that person that's putting that website together. It doesn't matter if it's Wix, if it's Joomla, if it's, it doesn't matter the platform, if it's Drupal, it really doesn't matter. We do work in sync. It's good to work simultaneously. SEO practitioners don't really charge a hell of a lot at that point because they know they'll get the long term because their work is guaranteed to be done every single month. So you can always get them at a lower cost initially to help out with doing the keyword research, help out maybe creating an Excel spreadsheet with suggested H1 tags that could be copy pasted onto the back end of the website. We so often do that. We create a Google Doc or Excel page for page, and we give it to the tech guy. The tech guy copy pastes everything for us while he's developing the website. So it's better to do it simultaneously. But with the advanced nature of platforms today, WordPress, like we're talking about, Wix, like we're talking about, Drupal, they all got very, very strong CMSs, content management solutions. So if you didn't do that exercise initially, you would just have to probably go back, and it's a little bit more effort, but go back and do the on pages correctly. And then you could, if you Google, test tools for my website, you'll find a couple of things online that are for free. One of them is W3C as a test tool, but there's other ones, again, SEMrush, SpyFu. If you run tests on those, it will tell you whether your content is, your H1 tags are bad, whether they need to be revisited, whether they need to be improved. Neil Patel has some tools as well on his blog, neilpatel.com. You can go on there and just run a test. It'll give you a health score of your website. It'll tell you on SEO what's going on with your on page. What could you improve? And of course, they want to convert you into a client. But if you get those pieces of information, if you follow the process back with the CMS, you can go fix it. Everything is fixable, unless you have a disastrous web developer or you did something drastically wrong. Then you have to start from scratch.
Brian.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw your mouth moving. I didn't want to talk over you.
No, you're good. I wanted to see if we have any other questions. This one's going on pretty long today.
I'm not seeing any pop up. I mean, it's a lot to think about. Certainly, if you're thinking of designing them, I'm puttering on WordPress myself. Brian and I kind of have been taking over our own Tech Talk Law website. So augmenting that is our next goal in all of this.
It looks beautiful. Site looks good. I'll be happy to. I actually think I did it already, but I need to maybe go take a copy of the report that I would have run for you and send that to you. The site looks clean. It's crisp. You got lots of call to actions there, and that's the thing. You need to think about what do you want your visitor to do. Like what is the call to action? Do they you want them to fill a form? Do you want them to contact you? Do you want them to email you? And those are the pieces you can create them on each page. You may just want them to just be social with you, so you may just put social icons on some pages. So as you go through your web pages, you just give thought to that, and you implement those pieces, because you don't want to give out great quality content and not capture your audience and build your email list. You want to get those those clients into an email. You want to get them into a funnel. in a way. Or you may just want them to be reactive if if it's a service that they really, really need. It's like when your AC system breaks, you really need an AC person to come fix it. You're not going to think a lot about that. That you're going to do a quick search, look for, emergency repair, AC repair near me on your phone. You're going to find somebody with really good reviews and get them, you're going to make that call. So thinking about your website, it's going to think very practically, and you're just going to think always in the mindset of what's my searcher going to do? How are they going to behave? What are they looking for? And how can I entice them to stay with me? But this is a great website.
Oh, well, thank you. I give most of the credit to Brian then. So I mean, I think that pretty much brings us close to the hour that we've been talking, and we're really grateful that you're able to join us. And for anyone who has more questions or wants to go to Vishé's website, I pulled up this one. I know you said you have several others as well from all your ventures. And also go to our Tech Talk Law website. We have been adding some to our blog. We're happy for you to join us and tell us more topics that you're interested in. And we'll find folks who are willing to talk to all of us about this. We also have all of our happy hours here now populated to our website. So you can go here and watch all of these in your spare time. And then I think our next Tech Talk Law happy hour is at the end of September, and you'll be on the lookout for an email blast about that. And it is on lawyering from your devices, your iPhone or your iPad. And we have Jeff Richardson, who is the iPhone JD, joining us, and he's going to talk all about mobile lawyering.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Vishé. Everyone have a great evening.